What do you see as the major comment about people saying that sound money can't be reintroduced into the economy? What are the reasons that they give you that saying that it can't be introduced?
Well, there's one which you're going to be asked on the panel tomorrow, which is the boring one, which is the one about the ability for mine production to keep up with GDP and that sort of particular point, which I think is a good example of the difference between broadsheet editorial comment on gold and silver, in other words, let's say rather thin in terms of background reading, and those of us that have looked into it with a bit more clarity. I mean, from my perspective, I'm an investment manager. You're a real expert in the subject, James, but from my perspective, you know, my clients, I want them to be well invested in the sector for lots of reasons, both to make money and as protection. But I think that there is a genuine need to take the discussion, which at the moment just sort of lives in the world of gold standard versus irredeemable paper, and evolve it and develop it into a bit more of a realistic discussion about what the practical applications are. I mean, my understanding of, for instance, where you and Hugo Salinas price might differ, I think this is a wonderfully interesting point to bring up and say, well, look, these are two different thought processes about where one might go with a practical application, which works better. I mean, I've always felt that the idea of gold and silver as settlement currencies is an enormously sensible one with the world the way it is at the moment, mainly because I don't really see how we can sensibly and realistically reform the global currency system to be gold-backed on a global basis. I just think that's la-la land in my mind. I don't see that happening.
Because governments don't have the credibility to run a system like that again? Or is
I think that's one reason, but I think there are many reasons, all to do with geopolitics of one type or another. Yeah. Whereas, you know, just to use the sort of boring silver bug analogy, you know, silver particularly is used as contact points, and really this is, I think that's rather a good analogy for what the idea of it being a settlement currency is. Is all it has to be is that the point of contact in a very light touch way. But so long as that contact point is there, I feel that probably that certainly to the layman, which I would consider myself to be, looks to be a practical solution which may work. But also, you know, Hugo being more along the lines of, I suppose, Gresham's law, the conference being on Gresham Street is rather appropriate. But you know, the idea of reintroducing it almost by stealth into the monetary system to educate the public as to what money is, which is the way I would read the idea of reintroducing silver coinage. I think that could be very profound and powerful as well, because I think that the main reason why it hasn't already happened, the debate hasn't been accelerated, is because people are just simply totally ignorant of the difference between paper money and real money.
So what you're really saying that you're in favor of is competitive currencies, let all currencies compete on an equal playing field, and the one that people choose will be the one that ultimately becomes the most popular currency. Yes,
I think that's maybe an end result of what I'm looking at. I mean, I don't think there's any way that currency devaluing against each other the way they are is remotely sustainable, and I know you agree with me on this. But I just wonder whether, if you introduce this idea of gold and or silver as a settlement currency, whether it be for corporations, governments or individuals, what that would do is provide sort of security within the global currency system, but obviously it won't attend to the domestic, you know, inflationary problems, those kinds of problems. So maybe you sort of need both. You know, Hugo's idea at the grassroots level within individual nation states, and then on a supranational level having this ability to use gold or silver on an electronic basis as a settlement currency.
Let me drill down on this point because it's sort of interesting to me. The term settlement currency, how do you describe that?
Well, with great difficulty, and I'm going to sound very stupid now. To be honest with you, James, I'm not sure I really know, but the way I feel about it is that if we can remove settlement risk.
The risk of payment.
That's it, risk of payment, exactly. From the global FX market, I think volatility would be reduced, and I think that things could be attended to over a 2 to 5 year time frame, as opposed to at the moment, to my mind, it looks like a nosedive. Yeah. And that's what I think needs to be dealt with immediately and not be delayed by a year.
I don't use that term settlement currency, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Apologies, yeah.
And I'm actually going to be talking about this tomorrow in my presentation. Because what you really need are really two things. You need some place where you can put your money and you know it's safe.
Yep.
And secondly, you have to be able to make a payment and know that that payment is also going to be made safely. Both you as the payer and the payee want to know that that payment is a safe payment.
Yep.
And again, you know, sound money historically has proven to do a very effective job in accomplishing both of those tasks. Mm-hmm. First of all, because it's a tangible asset, and as a consequence of that, there isn't any counterparty risk. Yeah.